hospital indemnity, the whole cornerstone of the whole thing is to cover the hospital copay. Okay? But covering the hospital copay, in my opinion, is not enough. So what I'll do is, that's why I brought you guys summary of benefits. We're going to run through some scenarios with the plans that are in your area. So you have a bunch of packet stack, you have your area. So in essence, what we're looking at is hospital copay. I always set it between $25 and $50 above where the current copay is at. For two reasons. One, the copays will fluctuate over time. And I don't like going back and having to readjust my hospital indemnity plan to add $25 of benefit or something stupid. Because once you go in, a lot of the times I'm doing this is I'm turning 65. So the key with turning 65 is within 6 months before, 6 months after with GTL's product, it's guaranteed issue. So it doesn't matter if they've got diabetes, it doesn't matter if they've got cancer, it doesn't matter if they've got anything on the hospital indemnity piece. You can put that in force within 6 months before, 6 months after. Just know
there's GI.
Yeah, just know there's a 6 month pre-X. So if they have something in the first 6 months happen that's pre-X, and they're in the hospital for something that's pre-X, then it won't be covered in the first 6 months. But after they clear the 6 month wait, then they have full coverage for surgeries, for hospital copay. The hospital copay, again, set 25 to 50 above what the copay is.
Can you sell these with subs?
Shouldn't. This is designed to fill in the copays of an advantage, and it's stuff there is no out of pocket. So I would sell cancer, precision care. We'll go over that in the next training. Today, we're going to go over that today. So this, and we're just talking about the hospital indemnity piece. So the hospital indemnity piece, you want to sell at the same time, I hate that word, offer at the same time as your Medicare Advantage presentation. Make sure it's signed on the scope that they're giving you permission to go over that at the same time. It's key. So sign on the scope. So, before I get too deep into the pitch itself, first you got to determine if it's worth doing the pitch. So I have this magical question. I call it magical because it works every time. And I say I use myself and my mom as examples, and it's not a lie, so it's very passion-driven and truthful. But so we're opposites. Personality-wise, financially, everything. And so, for me, I'm more of a gambler and a risk-taker. That's what I tell them. I'm more of a gambler and a risk-taker. For me, I sleep better at night, and to me, it gravitates to me to just have the zero premium advantage plan. Okay? So I tell them that for me. My mom, however, again, my mom's one on Medicare, so this is why it's so effective. My mom, who is on Medicare, she's a little bit different. Not only is her personality more conservative, but she's also now on a fixed income. She's retired. And that fixed income isn't very much. And so for her, when she thinks about $200 or $300 a day times 5 or 6 days, that $1,500, $1,800 hospital bill makes her not sleep at night. So for her, she can budget in the cost of the hospital indemnity coverage. She budgets in. What I tell people usually is it's between $50 to $100 a month, depending on how we have to build this thing for whatever plan you pick. And that's including the cancer coverage. You got to make sure you say that. Because that, in my opinion, on an advantage plan, cancer is one of the biggest holes.
Yeah.
Question. Go ahead.
No, I need to cover this because I find myself always talking to somebody about the advantage plan. It's like, what are the scenarios? What are people having to pay?
Yeah.
They go to the hospital.
So,
before we get too far, I just need to clarify one thing.
Yes.
So we have a GI for GTL 6 months before, 6 months after, but if we sign them up outside that GTL,
it's simplified underwriting. So yes or no questions, as long as they say no to everything and it matches up. So they're going to pull an MIB. MBI, not MIB. MBI.
It's GI.
Well, it is within 6 months of prior or after their 65th birthday. But what if you're helping a 75-year-old Mrs. Jones and she's coming from a med sub to a med advantage? I would, anyone coming off of sub to an advantage for the first time, I push this heavily. Why? Because they're used to no bill at all, right? And so, if they're used to no bill at all, do they want to save a bunch of money on the vet versus the med sub? Absolutely. But not At the same token, they've had a certain level of peace of mind with that comfort of knowing there is no bill. And so this is the middle ground that you can go to. Because their beds up, if they're at 70, 75, 80, is 200, 300 bucks a month maybe. And so if you want to bring them down, we'll bring them down to about 100. So if you take them all the way down to 0, or all the way down to 50, or whatever your advantage plan is, it's impossible mentally to bring them back up. Because now they're down at, well, I want to go to 50. Questions? Okay, so identify first. Go ahead, Terry.
Okay, sorry. I understand the GI, but you also said that if they get in the hospital within the first 6 months, it's like...
Well, if it's for a pre-existing condition.
Okay.
So they had a history of heart attacks,
Okay.
and in the first 6 months they have a heart attack, go to the hospital, that it's going to be a tough plane to push through.
But after 6 months, they're pre-existing?
Yes.
Okay, so T65, they guarantee underneath, they're in there, but there's pre-existing costs for the first 6 months, and then they're all free.
That protects them from the person that knows they have cancer and is just waiting to kind of get into the... But the cancer policy is not guarantee issue. So unless you're doing it as a rider. So there's 2 ways to do cancer.
Okay.
There's cancer as a rider on this product, the hospital indemnity product, or you can do it standalone as precision care. Whenever possible, I do it standalone for 2 reasons. One, it's a better product in my opinion. You get the genome sequencing testing through T-Gen therapy with it. And let's say down the road someone decides, because when they're turning 65, if A and B dates match and their advantage plan date matches, they have their trial right to play. And if 6 months, 8 months, 9 months from now, they say, you know what, I'd rather go to bed sup, then this product, hospital indemnity, becomes not needed. But the cancer piece, in my opinion, is still needed, whether you have bed sup or bed advantage.
Say that again. The trial right adds up with the act.
So if they exercise their trial right, so they have 12 months to try out the advantage plan with any carrier, they can switch back to bed sup.
Okay.
With United, they'll go 2 years, but the problem is, if you go to the second year, you're basically doing it during OEP, January to March, or you're doing it at the end of the year for the following. And it depends on how it times out. If somebody ages in February, then it works out because they'll be in the middle of OEP. If someone ages in July, they really only have 1 year. Because into the second year, when they hit the July second year anniversary, they have no election period to come off. And so the GI, you got to pay attention to when they're aging in so that you understand how that works.
Okay, standalone
If you're
precision.
going for the 2 years in.
The trial right. Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
The 2-year precision is that new company or?
What do you mean, 2 year?
No, I'm sorry, I was talking 2 years. You said the standalone cancer.
Yes, that came out in like July of 2020-ish. So precision care is relatively new, but it's the standalone cancer. We're going to go over that as well. Right now, we're going over hospital indemnity. And really, right now, we're only up to the point where we have to identify someone who needs the pitch, who needs it presented.
Somebody on.
So, again, we got to find someone in that scale. If they're like me and they're a risk taker, gambler, they're not going to buy this ever. Don't waste the breath of going over it. They're not going to see the value in it. To me, I'd rather save the $1,000 a month in premium and take the risk that if I have a hospital bill, I have the cash reserve I can pay. So mentality and preference are different. That's why I asked the question first. And they have no idea why I'm asking it, right? So there's me and my mom. I'm like, what the hell are you doing with this? And I explain how that works. She's more conservative. She sleeps better at night, spending a little. This is the exact phrase. She sleeps better at night, spending a little bit more on a monthly basis to have less bills on the backside. And if you say, and they say, I'm more like your mom. I hear that a lot. Another thing I hear a lot is, give me whatever you give your mom. Okay? So just by using my mom, you say the same thing. Not Joshua's mom, your mom, your mom. Your mom. Okay?
I'm misunderstanding because the non-risk takers are the ones that buy stuff, they know what they're going to pay all year long.
Well, no, not necessarily. Because you'll have people in the middle.
Because they still have a little.
Because you're at $150 a month roughly with a drug card and a sub, right? Or you could be at 90 or 100 with this middle ground with an advantage plan. Because what are the attractive parts of the advantage plan?
No cost.
Zero premium, right? But that's not dental, vision, silver sneakers, over the counter. Those are bait.
Gotcha.
Okay? And so think about it. The commercials that are on TV right now, what are they talking about?
Give back.
They're talking about Barbie give back, they're talking about free dental, they're talking about free vision, about free food, they're talking about free everything, right? And so they're using that. The people aren't calling because the commercial says no copay for the doctor, which every plan has. They're talking about the value-added services, which technically, when you look at them, what are they? They're kind of benefits. The dental's kind of dental. The vision's kind of vision. The over-the-counter is the best benefit there is. So I push heavily on the over-the-counter whenever I'm leveraging Medicare Advantage. Because people are just something like taking vitamins. A healthy person taking vitamins is spending $100 a month on vitamins. If they're doing more than one or whatever. And so giving them a plan that they can take that off of their grocery bill.
Yes.
That's an extra lobster dinner a month. That's an extra. And so I put it in perspective into their mind. But I never say lobster dinner. You know what I say? If it's husband and wife, I'll look at her and I'll say, you're going to save enough so that he can buy you 2 more Christmas presents. I like him. You'll hear that every time. I like her. Same thing. So you're pushing on the spouse. So if there's one in there, you're playing them off each other emotionally. Because what do you think about your health?
Good.
What do you think? Everybody says the same thing. Why? Because I'm alive and I have a pulse, and I'm walking, I'm not limping, I'm not hurting, I'm good. Right? And so, again, we've gone way too far off on a tangent on just who to present to. But we got to identify that by asking that one question. Who are you like? Me or my mom?
First of all,
Or are you in the middle?
you said assume everybody needs it. Everybody wants it. Everybody's in an advanced plan this presentation.
Until you ask that question. But you go in there and bring in the brochure. You go in that appointment with the mentality of they need it until proven otherwise. And the second they say, I'm more like you. If they say, I'd rather have the zero plan by itself, if you go into the presentation for this, you're a jerk in their mind. I just told you I didn't want it. It's basically the thing.
But I'm a risk taker. I want the zero plan, but
So you're in the middle,
Yeah.
right? And so anybody who's not on my extreme, that's literally, if they say I'm just like you, no presentation. Everybody else, presentation. How many of them do you think they say they're like me? It's not a very high percentage. If you look back at my plans I've sold this year versus how many I presented, it's a very high percentage. Why? Because I'm only presenting to the ones I've identified as a good candidate.
What's the loss of presenting to somebody that might not get it?
You might push them off as I'm a salesman.
Totally.
You might think you're a salesman. Yeah, because you're pushing. Don't push. Don't be an order taker, but don't push onto them. What you're doing is you're pushing education onto them. So you're asking that question. Again, they don't know why you're asking. If you stick to the script, I promise you'll sell half your policies with this. If you sell half your policies with this, it doubles your income, you guys.
You're right.
Doubles.
My car insurance guy did that to me. I got windshield on there, I got car rental on there, I got all this now
I did the same thing.
because he said, you know, this, and it's like $10 extra for this for the 6 months, 20 extra for this for the 6 months.
Because that is the time to get the extras. If you're going to get it, you give them, you know what I mean? Throw it out.
But that's different.
He said to do it.
That's different.
With the
You
cash
want to
for this
present
and all
it.
of
Yes.
this. That's how he did. He said this is a whole package. If you want just full coverage, this is the cost. But this is everything I had at a cost.
This is why. This is
Yeah.
why. This is why. I'm not just selling you stuff.
Yeah.
I'm really taking into consideration what you've told me.
And I
Because you don't know what you want. That's the thing with insurance. Every person you sit with has no idea what they want. They can kind of describe it. They have an idea of the concept. But in reality, what does everybody want? I want to pay zero for the plan, and I want to pay zero at the doctor. Okay? It's not really realistic. We know that, unless you have Medicaid. Okay? So we identify them, and now we've got to put the plan together. So pick any plan on your pile. I don't care. Both of you pick a plan. That's not the right plan. Pick an Advantage plan off your pile. I don't care. Pick one. Both of you just pick one and open it to the summary benefits.
Plan to,
I don't need to know. Which one? Oh, down there? Okay, perfect. Open it up to where? Summary benefits. First page. Not the benefits at a glance, the actual summary benefits. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. That's benefits at a glance. Always use the real summary of benefits. So you have the summary of benefits up, right? Okay, so we have the summary benefits up. What is the copay? What's the first one that comes up? Hospital copay, right? So I'm gonna have on this side, we're gonna do the two benefits as we go. This is Tara's presentation. This is Mike's presentation. Okay, so Tara, what's your copay?
$285 for 6 days.
$285 a day for 6 days. What about you, Mike?
Mine is, $490 per day, is 1 to 4. In network. Now it's only $10. It's $490 a day for 1 to 4. 0 beyond.
Okay. There's a caveat to your plan that you picked. The plan that you picked also has a Part B rebate we got to factor in. So that plan also is factoring in plus $50 a month to their Social Security. So you got to keep that in mind as you play. What we can do psychologically, let's say somebody's really, really healthy. You're using the $50 a month towards the cost of this thing psychologically. So it's a really good way to do it. I'm glad you put that plan actually. So we have hospital copay. So on yours, as we set this up, this is how we're going to set the plan up. So I want you both to pull out your phones, go to gtlic.com and log into your GTL account.
GTL.com.
gtlic.com. gtlic.com. Here, we don't have time for this right now. You guys need to work on that. You can't log in. You can't write it out. That would be step one before you ever present.
Cheers.
So we're going to assume it's the same 65-year-old male in Colorado that we're quoting. His twin brother lives in Pueblo. This guy lives in Denver, right? Well, that doesn't even sound like the right plan.
Larimer County.
Okay, perfect. He lives in Larimer County.
Fort Collins.
Okay. So go to quote and submit. We have a mail.
Is it different in Denver? Is it pretty similar? Doesn't it?
No, the price will be the same either place. We're just picking a state with this plan. But we're talking about for the purposes of comparison, your advantage plan is different. So Advantage Plus, Colorado, you choose between 10 and 21 benefit days. I always quote 10. Oh, 21 days is overkill. The likelihood of staying in the hospital 21 days is really low. It's like the bonus bet at the blackjack table. It's a sucker bet. So first I'll give you the price for
After the guy went in.
Mike, adding $530 a day at 56.54 a month to the premium to start with. For Tara is at $320 a day. Remember, on this side we're using $50 a month of house money.
I know, that's so cool.
So over here we're at 34.14. Okay, that piece. Okay, so the next piece we have is the ambulance. What's the ambulance copay on yours, Tara? Ground. What's air? Doesn't say, right? You know why? Because it's weakness. It's 20%. Mikey, what's your ambulance copay? Third and fourth page, probably.
It is 250.
250 ground or air?
Ground or air?
Okay. So adding ambulance adds, and it gives a $200 benefit per ride up to 2,500 lifetime. So in essence, that equates to what? 12 and a half rides, okay? Say 12, you're right. 200 ride, 500 lifetime. I don't want to be too far to the right price. That adds $3.36.
Wait, oh, so that's all it is. In the event of an emergency, the GTO that is.
You take an ambulance ride, afterwards you get the bill, we submit a claim to GTL, they send a check directly to the client.
So if you're covering that, it's 336.
Okay, so now we have two ways to cover cancer. So this, we're going to have this itemized so we can build it two ways. So cancer, we're either doing there or we're doing it down here as a separate product. So cancer rider, always select it at 10,000, which is the highest we can go with the rider. That's a 10K lump sum on both sides. Okay? What does that mean?
First diagnosis.
If they're diagnosed with cancer, you're bringing them a check for 10K. What can they do with that 10K?
Whatever they want.
Literally whatever they want. They can go to Vegas and put on black if they want to. Literally, it's not taxable. But what's it designed to do?
Hey.
Cover the max out of pocket how many times? Twice. Why? So what if you get cancer in November? You're probably going to have cancer treatment in this year and next year. What's your max out of pocket on your plan? That's like 5,200, 500 or something like that.
52.
Pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Yours is 6,700, I think, right?
Yes, it is.
Should have that memorized. I got to do.
I was told it's almost impossible to get the other part.
It's very difficult, but it's not
But
impossible.
they can't count.
What are we buying insurance for? To protect us against what? The worst possible scenario. People have a misconception with health insurance that we're buying benefits, which we kind of are on some level, going to the doctor, preventative care, that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, what's more impactful on our filing bankruptcy? A $100 doctor bill or a $100,000 hospital bill? That's where this comes in. We're protecting against the worst case scenarios on this product, which is what people aren't kept up at night worried about affording their doctor bill at the doctor's office normally.
Right.
Because what's the copay on your plan? 0. What's the copay on your plan? 25.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a bankruptcy event. Worst case scenario is you can't eat this week, right? Which sucks. But that's why we're put in a position so they don't have to worry about that. So again, 10K lump sum. How much do you think of that for a 65-year-old male?
25
That's not GTL, right?
GTL riders.
Less for female.
Yes. Everything's less for female on this set of product. Okay. Next thing we have is skilled nursing. Okay. Skilled nursing on your plan is 0 for the first 20.
And then it's the killer. It's 178 all the way up to 500.
And then 178. Do me a favor, take 5,200 on your calculator. Hey Steve, 1 and 3. Take 5,200 divided by 178.
That's 29.21.
So they'll actually cap out at 30 days, okay? What about yours, Mr. Mike? Should be right on the next second or third page. You're way too far in. You go back, no, there you go. past the dental. Okay, you went way too far now. It's in those pages.
Skilled nursing.
We keep going on right there.
Ooh. So we're worried about days 21 to 57?
Yes.
184 a day for 36 days.
84 days, what, 21?
21 to 57.
Okay, that's 0, 1 to 20. It's pretty standard. So in this case, how many days does it have out of? 21 to 57 is 26 days, right? Why? 36 is the maximum pocket's a little higher. That is not, okay, it is. Good sir. You beat. But, so that caps out at 36 days. This is capping out at 30, okay? And so skilled nursing benefit, how it works with GTL is, if you add benefit, the cost is $8.62.
So,
Okay.
did you have to do the math on all that? What's your amount of it for?
There you go.
Okay.
So it doesn't pay anything for those first 20 because they know on the Advantage plan it has to be 0 for the first 20. That's the mandated benefit. So days 1 to 20, there are no benefit. But if they stay days 21 to 100, it pays 120 a day. So it basically is knocking the copay down to 64 a day here and down to 53 a day, 58 a day there. Right?
Well, it's actually, if you do it for the homeowner, it's going to pay everything.
No,
Just zero, just.
well, I know, that's the thing. So once, the longer you stay past day 36 to day 30, this keeps paying.
Right.
So day 37, 38, 39, this keeps paying 120 a day, even though you have no copay anymore over here.
Right.
So theoretically, if you stay 100 days, you'll end up with no out-of-pocket at all because they'll cover everything with everything you receive.
Right.
But it's a huge hole on your Advantage plan. Biggest hole, second biggest hole.
Skilled nursing is what?
Could be the ICU unit, could be rehab hospital. It's where you need nursing level care, round the clock nursing care, just on a short-term basis, 100 days or less. So it's like long-term care, but on a short-term basis. It's a temporary thing, not a long-term thing. And so that's where this comes in. So skilled nursing is built in, it's only $862, right? And then we have, there is an option to add lump sum hospital, but you don't need to add lump sum hospital. Why? Because neither one of your plans has a deductible. If there was a deductible, like on the Aetna Elite Prime that has a $1,000 deductible, I'd want to have a plan that has a $1,000 initial benefit, lump sum, although the highest you can go on GTL is $750. So what you need to do is do $750 lump sum and top it with at least $250 a day, so they have that $1,000 for the first day. We don't need to do it here. So the next benefit we're adding is called surgical for the outpatient surgery. Okay. Why don't we just do it at 250? They go 250, 500, 750, 1,000. There's no reason to do 1,000 unless you're like under 65 and you have a $5,000 deductible or something. So all you need to set this at again is 250. What's the outpatient copay on your plans?
For surgical center,
Yep, here, Steve, just pick a random one.
235.
235 for hospital, right?
Yeah, and then outpatient is 285, and the surgical center is 235.
235,
Sometimes maybe the same.
285, and 235?
Yes, sir.
$470 copay.
Either place, right?
Yep.
Normally,
In the hospital or observation or including surgery?
it's all 490, isn't it?
470.
Okay, so it's a little bit lower. It's a unique anomaly. Normally, hospital outpatient matches 1 day in the hospital. Normally. There's an anomaly of 490, 470, but that's okay. It's close enough. In this case, Mike, what I would probably do on your plan is bump this up to 500. Because the copay is 470. Okay, so if 250 is 1514 a month. $500 is 3028.
That's, yeah.
Okay? So now, put it all together and what have we got? We've got 3414, we've got 336, we've got 2325, 862, and 1514. It's 8451. The first one's going to have a $25 application fee. Excuse me, a $20 application fee. So the first one will be 104, and the ongoing will be 8451 on this side. For you, Tara? Yours, Mike, is going to be a little bit more.
250, right in there.
So I just got to take off 56, 54, 336, 2325, 862, and 3828. There's 122, 05 a month, plus the one-time $20 application fee. So the first will be 142, 05, ongoing will be 122. However, again, you got to remind them that $50 a month, you're getting a rebate under Part B. So this is technically net money out of their pocket is $72.05 a month, and that's exactly how it presents it. What do you do with their savings? You spend it for them, or they'll waste it on dumb shit. You know what I mean? So if we're going to save them,
I think it's 110. I think it's 112. But yeah.
Well, listen, I'll do it again. 56, 54, 336, 23, 25, 862, and 3028. It's 122.05.
Okay.
I think your brain math button is broken.
I was just happy. I can't math.
I'm using the calculator, same for minute. So again, don't, that's not the amount. We're using this. We got to tell them up front. Before you even go to the pitch. Now remember, we're saving $50 a month cash money in your Social Security. We're going to smartly spend that. I know you want to buy the new purse, however, this is the right way to do it because you're taking on some more risk over here. Okay? So surgical outpatient, all that kind of stuff. But in essence, this is how you compile it together. Now, how do you sell it? Line by line through the summary benefits. As you're going through the summary benefits, again, I ask them before I go through the summary benefits. What's the magic question? You missed it. I'm recording it, so you'll be able to watch it again.
You started at 11.
I started at 10:30.
Are you like,
So the power question is self-hospital indemnity. When you're about to present the summary benefits of the plan you've picked based on their meds and their doctors and all their fact finding, you then say, I'm going to use myself and my mom as examples. Same exact words. I'm more of a risk taker and a gambler by nature. My mom is more conservative by nature. I'm in a different financial position for two reasons. One, I'm more successful, and two, I'm still working. Three, my mom is now retired and on a fixed income. So I'm painting this picture for them of two opposite people.
My mom isn't working, I'm still working.
She's retired. I mean, just like you. Again, who do I want them to be more like? Me or my mom? I want them to be like my mom every time, okay? So I'm going to try to paint them into that corner in some ways. Identify with my mom, please, is what in essence the message. So my mom is more conservative. She's on a fixed income. So for her, what's 490 times 4? 1,600 plus 360. It's 1960.
so it says 2000, if they look at it, then
1960 to most seniors who are making, on average, $1,500 to $2,000 a month for Social Security, that's their entire month's check. That gives heartburn to most people. Most people in America can't handle a $1,000 unexpected expense, especially on the medical one. Because what happens when you go to the hospital? Usually it's for a good reason. And usually you come out of there with some new stuff. A new doctor to see, a new test to take, a new prescription all of a sudden, new something. So that's why I say set this benefit, the copay is the only benefit that we set above where their actual out-of-pocket is. Why? Because if they have a 4-day hospital stay, I want them walking out of there with an extra $100, $200, and the copay paid for. If they stay 10 days Days 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they're still getting $530 a day. They're going to walk out of the hospital with $2,000 or $3,000 coming their way. Why? They might have an MRI copay to pay for. They might have a new medication to pay for. They might have something. And it gives them that peace of mind, that buffer of cash, that not only the hospital copay is covered, but you have some other incidentals that might come along too. So that's the only benefit you build in that way. So presentation-wise, again, you identify first, my mom, me, who are you more like? If they say me, don't go down the road. Because you come across as a greasy salesman. They don't want to do that. You don't want to be that. If you want to be that, you're not on my team anymore. You're going somewhere else to be a salesman, because that will give my agency a bad name. Half of the point of peace of mind is that we're not a pushy salesperson. We're identifying a need and we're helping them fix the need. We are not pushing product on somebody. Very big difference. And psychologically, for the person, they appreciate it more. Again, 3/4 of the time or more, that's what they say to me. They'll say either, give me what your mom has, those exact words, or I'm more like your mom, or I'm somewhere in the middle. Again, if they're anything but me, anything else in the spectrum, we're going through the presentation so that they get the opportunity to make a decision.
Does Tara get $50 off?
No, she gets a different Advantage plan that doesn't have that parking rebate.
Okay.
Is that the other one that has it?
It's one of the few if you don't have veteran. So the Honor PPO, the Patriot from United.
And that's just a straight out United's pocket into you for doing
Well, yeah.
whatever it is.
It goes to Social Security, but yes. Yes. It's cash.
So
The Social Security goes up by $50 a
out
month.
of your Social Security.
Yes.
Because they're paying them.
Yes. Has to be paid cash. The government doesn't take coupons, they take cash. So it's a cash exchange. But again, premise-wise, mentally, we have to make sure they're open to the concept first. Because if you're trying to push product in some way where they're not even open to the concept, you're coming across as a pushy salesman. Because they've either subliminally, non-verbally, or verbally told you, don't sell me anything, jerk. It's basically their stance that they're taking by saying, I'm more like you. Because you give that opportunity to unofficially say, don't sell me. Right? Because each of us are a salesman. Do you like to be sold? No. But I enjoy the game of it, right? At a certain level, I have fun with it. And I always end up getting sold because I play too long. Okay? And so that's the thing. With a good salesman, the longer you play, the more you buy. So that's the key with this thing. This whole process is, what are we doing as we go through this? So now, we've identified it. Now I'm getting to the best part. How do you pitch it? You open your summary of benefits. You start at the very first benefit, which is what?
You pitch it, so you pitch it in accordance with explaining the advantage plan.
I'm just about to tell you exactly. I'm in their house. I know I'm selling United Healthcare at this point. I know I'm selling Humana. I know I'm selling Humana at this point.
Okay.
So that's already done. I already have all the medication costs. I have how much, all of that. The doctors are all checked. All that's in accordance. Because I don't show up to the appointment without that done if I can avoid it. Why? Because I want to be able to stuff this extra stuff without going back. Because when I go to my by the way appointment, on the enforced appointment, I've switched from selling the hospital indemnity stuff at that point. So now I'm moving on to life and the other stuff. Okay? So you get a couple of opportunities to go over extra stuff in the first 30 days or something if you do it right. So again, I've identified it. The first benefit on the plan. How much is the premium for your plan? Zero. Oh, now it's wrong. It's 40.
$40. That sucks.
Well, it's only $10. So it doesn't suck. It's great. It's still getting 40. What's yours? Premium.
0.
Okay, Tara? Okay. 9 out of 10 times we're doing this, or 99 out of 100 times, this does work with the PPO too. But 99 out of 100 times, it's a zero premium product we're working with. So we're starting at 0. Okay? On the scoreboard. I'm also, as we go through, I want them to mentally check off low copays and big out of pocket. Holes. I call them holes. And you have to identify and clarify what that means. When I say hole, that doesn't mean you have no coverage. That means there's a bigger exposure point of financial. It means you have a bigger copay, it means you have a co-insurance. And then I also explain what's the difference between a copay and co-insurance. A copay is what you're paying an amount and the insurance company's paying an amount. You're both co-paying. A predictable amount on your side. So there's a set dollar amount on a copay. Co-insurance is we're giving a percentage. I'm paying 20%, the insurance company's paying 80%. It's unpredictable because we're missing the total cost, the most important variable in that algebra equation. And so, as I'm setting this up, again, I haven't done this yet. So I don't have the quote ran going into it because I have no idea, and I don't want the effect of me pulling a pre-printed quote out of my briefcases that I came in here to sell you this. It's the wrong mentality. I don't want them to feel that. I pull out my computer, my phone, and I run the quote as we go. I'm going to customize this to fit your plan. We're not going to over-insure you. We're not going to under-insure you. And make sure you have the right amount of insurance. Psychologically, that's important to them. Because what do they not want to do? They don't want to buy too much, and they don't want to buy too little. They want to be Goldilocks in the middle. Just right. And that's what our job is to tell them. So psychologically, as I go through this, I've run enough of these to know about what price point I'm working with. And so that's what I usually say is somewhere between 50 to 90 bucks. But again, this is with the cancer rider built in. It's the same presentation with precision care, except for the precision care is its own product. And you isolate the cancer benefit. We have chemotherapy, we have radiation, those are the two benefits in the summary. So now we're going to go line by line through the summary. What's the first one in all three of you? Yours is the Part B rebate, so make sure you're minding right out the gate, Mike. You're getting 40 bucks a month back. Cash. So their register goes negative 40 in their mind right away. You are both at zero still right away. But what's the next benefit? Prescription deductible and regular deductible, right? What's the deductible? No deductible on anybody, right? Okay? No prescription deductible for anybody, right?
On the higher tiers.
Okay, so yours has it, so make sure you address that. Okay, now what's the next one?
The hospital.
Boom! So you have two things at this point. You have your brochure out in front of them. And you're going to now identify in the top right corner, top left corner, what does it say, Mike? Read aloud so that everybody can hear you.
Your health insurance coverage may leave you with out-of-pocket expenses.
Okay?
Hospital confinement.
Read this whole paragraph.
This benefit will pay you between $100 and $600 per day should you be confined to a hospital. You can also choose either a 10-day or a 21-day benefit period, which will restore after 60 days of no hospital confinement. Benefits are paid directly to you, so you can use the funds any way you choose.
Okay? So if you read that whole thing to them, how does it sound? Did anybody ever get that? No. It reads horribly. So in essence, what you're going to say is we're going to customize it to what? Again, you've already identified. What's the copay? Because you went over it with them first. What's the copay for hospital?
$490.
Yeah, don't be guessing. Read it. Get your hand back on that.
$490 a day.
Okay?
For days 1 through 3.
Okay? What's yours, Steve?
Oh, that was mental health. Excuse me.
See? I knew you were on the wrong page.
Inpatient hospital care, 195, days 1 to 6.
Okay, 195 days 1 to 6 is yours?
85.
Okay, again, so we've identified the benefit, we told them. Now we're going to tell them what? Okay, I'm going to set this one up at $320 a day. Here's why. Again, you got to use that thing. Most people, in my experience, when you go inpatient to the hospital, and then you got to make sure they understand the definition of inpatient. Most people think, I stayed overnight, I was inpatient. No, you have to have a doctor sign an order admitting you as an inpatient. You could stay in observation for 2 weeks, not be an inpatient. You're sleeping there, you're eating there, people are visiting you there. You feel like you're inpatient, but you're not. So inpatient is very key. So you got to make sure they understand inpatient means you're being admitted inpatient. Now this is triggered in. I'm going to set this up at, in this case, how far ahead of this is this?
Where's the difference in the under observation versus inpatient?
It's the same. It's the same copay, but the benefit's different. It can be.
Hospital confinement benefit.
Yeah, hospital confinement. When you set up this way, it's the same number that you set here. So the 1 day would work still. Okay? Read it in here. What's it say?
For 2 weeks.
What's it say right here? It's the next bullet point.
People may be surprised on that for being confined to hospital for days. They weren't covered if their stay was categorized as hospital observation. Guaranteed GTOs and managed plus covers both. Okay. So with your observations covered each with the amount of days under observation.
Yes. So this plan we have covers both observation and inpatients. We cover both bases at once for them. Okay? And so again, right out the gate, what benefit are we on in the summary of benefits? We're literally on benefit one, because also so far we've gone over max out of pocket and deductibles. The first benefit we've solved for them. And so again, I'm setting it a little bit high. Why? Because if you go to the hospital for 2 or 3 days, chances are really good that you're going to what? Come out of there with some new stuff. A new doctor to see, a new prescription to take, a new MRI to do, a new X-ray, a new something. Most people don't just walk out the front door and go, all right, well, everything's back to the way it was, here we go. Because you normally don't get to the hospital level of inpatient until something's gone very, very wrong. You probably took the ambulance to the hospital. So, again, I set them up right in the first benefit. What's the next benefit? You just need to keep it open the right page. Keep going back and forth. I'll keep quiet. Because again, you need to practice this as though you're right next to Bill and Mary. So it needs to be upside down. You need to be able to read upside down. That's what I do every time. Highlight upside down. I can even write upside down now. It's a part of our trick. Trust me when it's fascinates people. What's our next benefit? After surgery copay. Is that a benefit on our plan?
Yes.
Boom, perfect. So now I got to talk about the next benefit. What's the copay, Mike?
25.
No, it's not.
47 for
Thank you.
surgery.
35 and
Steve? Surgery copay outpatient? 195, okay? You said yours, you would set it at 250. Yours at 250, you're at 500. What does that mean? They have some money left over. Pay for the prescription, pay for the whatever. Pay for lunch, pay for gas. It's your cash, you can do whatever you want. Again, you have to explain this as what kind of policy? An indemnity policy. What does indemnity policy mean?
Pay for what you lost.
It means it pays directly to the consumer. The claim is filed, the check goes to the client. Why is that important? Because if your copay for the hospital is $4.90 a day and your benefit's $5.30, do you trust your hospital to give you the refund of $40 a day? I don't either. Okay? So you want the money coming directly to the consumer. If they give their ID card to the hospital at the time they're hospitalized for GTL, that's what will end up happening. We'll make them assign the benefits to them. So I recommend when your client is hospitalized, you instruct them, once you get out, call me, I'll come over and help you file a claim. We need an itemized statement from the hospital. It's the only thing we need. And there's a claim form you print off from the GTL's website, in fax or mail, and email that in.
And you get a check.
Then the check goes to the consumer, as long as there's nothing to contest. If you're within the first 6 months of the policy, they're going to make sure it's not pre-X. If you're within the first 2 years of the policy, they will do full underwriting if it's a big claim. What I mean by full underwriting is they'll pull medical records on everything, they'll look at everything, make sure there's no discrepancies.
So with this, you have to disclose pre-existing.
You have to disclose it. It's simplified underwriting, and within 6 months before or after turning 65, it's guarantee issue. But there is a 6-month pre-X. So even on guarantee issue, if they have an issue in the first 6 months, it's caused by a pre-existing condition, you won't be covered until after that 6-month window is over. So again, now I've gone in, I've covered 2 benefits already, and we've only gone over 2 benefits. Okay? So psychologically in their mind, and I'm not giving them the price as we go.
Building value.
We're just building the value in first. So I'm going to set it at $5.30 a day. I'm going to set it at $3.20 a day, and here's why. Again, you got to explain why you're doing it. Then I'm going to go to the next benefit, which is primary doctor copay. That's nothing, 0, 25, whatever it is, specialist, 50, 35, whatever it is. That's not a bankrupt event, and it's not covered by my plan. So I'm just going to keep going through the summary of benefits like I normally do. Go through the imaging category. ER, there is a special caveat. If you look on your brochure, for emergency room benefits at the bottom, it's kind of like having the full moon line up with the sun and all that stuff. But basically how it works is, if you're in the ER for an injury, not an illness, and you get admitted within 24 hours. So you have to be there for an injury and to get admitted. You have an extra $150 coming your way. Okay? All that stuff has to line up for that emergency room benefit to kick in. But in that scenario, again, here's the scenario. I'm out, cleaning the gutters, fall off the ladder, break my hip. I get there, they go, oh, we're going to have to admit you right now and do surgery tomorrow, or tonight, or whatever. That's the scenario where the extra $150 will come into play. Now, the Advantage plan is going to waive the ER copay. So they basically get an extra $150 to put some bandage on the wound, so to speak.
They waive.
The Advantage plan, there's a caveat that says if you're admitted within 24 hours, we waive the emergency room copay. And there's the same thing only goes the other way. If that happens on this side, they get an extra $150. So the copay goes away and they get an extra $150 in that scenario. But all that stuff has to line up. Anything that doesn't line up, no extra $150. So now we go to the next benefit. What's the next benefit? We're in the imaging, right? At the bottom of the imaging, there is radiology, therapeutic radiology. It's usually either a copay or 20%. In essence, it's cancer treatment with radiation. If you go to an in-network, a lot of them have gone to a copay nowadays. However, there are a lot of situations where maybe you don't want to go to that cancer doctor, you want to go to your own or whatever. Then you pay 20%. But again, what triggers when you get cancer? That's where I tell them, I'm going to show up on your front door with a check for $10,000. Again, it's designed to cover the maximum pocket 1.5 times, twice, almost. Okay? That's what it's for.
That's done.
We
Or,
always do 10.
yes, that's the highest you can do on the rider. Okay? So now I've gone over that. At the same time, I will skip ahead at this point in my summary of benefits because the chemotherapy is like the second to last benefit. So I skip all the way ahead and find chemotherapy and say, see, 20%. Make sure they see it. Seeing is 100%.
So,
That does have a little bit of
100%.
Yours has 18%. That's on oxygen DME. Yeah, that's only on oxygen DME that goes down to. So again, we're covering that 80%, 80-20. We're covering the 20% with this.
That's where they're gonna hit that.
Okay? Yeah, it'll hit it for sure. But not with their cash, with GTL's cash, because we're going to set it up right. And so now we go to the next benefit. We go back to the summary of benefits, what's after imaging. We go through hearing, we go through vision, we go through all those extra benefits. What's the next one we get? Mental health. Is there anything on your brochure that says anything about mental health?
I don't see it.
Okay, what does it say, Tara?
Yes.
I've seen that a minute ago.
175.
Sorry, yeah.
It pays $175 a day instead of the full amount that you selected.
But it's only for 7 days.
Right, but your benefit on your plan will cut off at that point either. What does that protect the insurance company from? Mental health is not something you can take a test for. Right? Heart attack is pretty simple. They hook up to a machine, they say, look, right here, there's evidence you're having a heart attack. They can diagnose it. With mental illness, there's that gray area. You can just say, I'm having a bad day. And it could be a scenario where the client is trying to make money off their plan.
Ooh.
You understand? So that's why that's in there, is my guess. I don't have anybody telling me that officially. That's my guess. Educated guess. So mental health is $175. The copay is still the same on the plan. So you have to make sure that they understand. But again, generally speaking, most people aren't worried about inpatient mental health. If they are, make sure they're aware of the hole there and the extra coverage.
Quick question.
Yes.
It's only one time pay on it. It doesn't reboot.
This is per occurrence. It's going to be per hospitalization. Okay? Now, where are we at? Next benefit. Again, not next benefit in the summary, but the next one is covered. Because you're just going to go through your summary line by line. Now we run into skilled nursing next, right? Where's the ambulance?
No, it isn't.
Skilled nursing is next. And that's our second highest exposure point. Make sure they understand that.
And then we get max out.
Okay? So what's the benefit? We go over with them. And in their mind, you say 184 in 36 days, you'll hit this number. Make sure you say it. You'll hit 6,700. In 30 days, you'll hit 5,200. And you'll have no more copay if you stay longer. Here's the cool part. This policy keeps on paying. So on this case, day 51, day 52, this is still going to pay $120 a day. On this one, day 58, it's still paying $120 a day, all the way through day 100. And chances are pretty good. If you're so bad of shape that you have to stay in skilled nursing for 50 days, there's a really good chance you could be there for the full 100. So at the end of that full 100, how much does that pay? What's $120 times 80? Get your calculators up. $9,600, I think is the answer.
Yes.
Okay? That's $9,600 of benefit. What's the max out of pocket? So they would come out with how much extra? It's important for you to illustrate to them how much extra they'd have.
2,900.
Yep, 2,300, right, or 22 to 99 or whatever it is. What's the max? Was it 86? 96. We're going 96, so it's 1,900 or 29, is it?
29.
29. What's this one? 4,400 extra dollars cash in your pocket. And why is that important? Well, if you just spend 100 days in skilled nursing, I guarantee you've got new stuff, new prescriptions, new doctors. You're happy to be alive, number one. Number two, you have a different life now. New medications, new regimen, everything's different now. But cash is one of those buffers that you have. Okay? Now we go on. What's the next benefit? Ambulance, correct? I think it's like 2 down. 2 down. Now we're in ambulance. We go where an ambulance is. So in this case, on your plan, Mike, we're reducing the copay to $50. On your side, we're reducing it to $65 for air. If you're selling Humana plan in most states, it has a 20% co-insurance for air ambulance. I encourage you to have someone reach out. Air Medevac offers for like a senior, it's like $65 per person for a whole year of coverage. It covers that ambulance whole. Basically, they get $50,000 of air ambulance through this membership. I live out in Fort Morgan, I have. And every person that I talk to out there, I tell them you should get it if they have Humana. Or any plan, any insurance company that has 20% co-insurance for air ambulance instead of a copay. Because this number could come into play kind of quickly with an air ambulance rate. You're very quickly expensive.
So you're saying, of course, this ambulance here is 165 copay.
That's only ground. They leave out the part where it's 20% for air. Because that's a negative. Again, the summary of benefits is technically a sales marketing piece. The evidence of coverage is the guts of the plan. So in the sales piece, they don't always show the whole picture. So again, now we've gone through all the benefits. What's left? Nothing, right? We've gone through every benefit that this covers. Ambulance, hospital, cancer, skilled nursing, and surgical. The only difference in presentation is if I peel this piece out and go to precision care, then I'm just going over the precision care. The only difference in the precision care is you can go higher, 15 or 20,000 if you want to on that face amount. And it offers the T-gen therapy, which is DNA testing on your cancer or tumor to determine what's the best way to kill the cancer. Because paying for the cancer is fun. We want to make sure we have insurance to pay for the cancer. More important to most people is beating the cancer, outliving the cancer. With our current cancer treatments, chemotherapy and radiation, in essence, we're in a race to outlive the cancer because the chemo kills us and the cancer. That's why it's called a fight against cancer, because you're fighting cancer to die first. Who's going to die first? Because chemo is going to kill one of us, or both of us. So T-gen therapy, it's $6,500 in their lifetime, which is enough for like 4 tests or 5 tests. So they'll be cancer 4 or 5 times before they run out of benefit on that side. But so they get the face amount that we're normally talking about, but they also get the lump sum. But the difference in price, there's a little bit difference in price.
Plus, this is a standalone, so that they lose the hospital.
The cancer is both of the same company, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the precision care would be a little better because you get different testing, even though if you
You get extra benefits and extra features.
And this is standalone, it's not a rider, so if they jump to the sub.
That's it. So what is the standalone 10,000 amount?
That's what we're going to get right now. Come on, we got to relog in. So 10,000 on precision care. It's 44.66.
Twice as much.
Two reasons why it's better. Not only do you get the genome testing, but again, if they switch to a med sub down the road, you can keep this in place, cancel the rest. But either way, $20 a month should not be a deal breaker. Unless you're dealing with someone in the low income market, and they shouldn't have even gone down this road anyway. Although, don't discount people on LIS. My mom's in that category of LIS. This product makes her sleep good at night. So don't just misjudge someone and think, oh, they're only at $1,300 a month. There's no way they can afford 122 or they can afford 84.
Does your mom do the regular or precision?
She has this one. Because back then, precision care didn't exist.
Do the subs cover the TGen?
No. Yeah, the question is, does Med Subs cover TGen? Medicare doesn't cover it, so it's coming along. So soon it should be covered. But the key with why would I package this with a sub still? What if they want to go to Mayo or MD Anderson or somewhere to get a second opinion? It'll pay for the plane ticket, it'll pay for lodging, it'll pay for the spouse to come with, it'll pay for food while you're there. When you go get a second opinion Mayo Clinic in Arizona, it's not just like going to your corner doctor's office. You got to get a plane ticket, you got to get a hotel, you got to get a rental car, you got to buy food while you're there. There's a lot of expenses that go into that, and your insurance doesn't cover that. This $10,000 of cash, again, I can put all in black in Vegas if I want to.
Both of them cover that, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cash covers anything. Cash is king. So again, it doesn't matter what Advantage plan you take this. Again, that's why I want to have two of you do differently. I don't care which one it
That's a
is.
one-time thing, lifetime thing.
This you can also build in recurrence on the precision care. It adds a few dollars a month. It adds. You can also add ROP. So if someone says I have no history of cancer, they could add like $15, $20 a month to the premium and have a return of premium. So if you die and don't have cancer, all the money goes back to your estate. A no-lose proposition. Most people age 65 or beyond that have the resources for that, they don't get the ROP. Like 1 out of 50 people that I talked to about it get it. So the value is here. The meat and potatoes is here. Because after you get rid of hospital, ambulance, cancer, skilled nursing, and surgical, go through your summary benefits. What co-pays do you have left? $50 copay for specialist, or $35 copay for specialist, or $100 copay for an MRI, or your prescriptions or your out-of-pocket expenditure at that point. But in essence, you've got a nice hybrid model between the basic coverage of just the zero premium plan and the comprehensiveness of going with the Plan F or Plan G or some other med sub. You have that middle ground that some people are in that middle. Someone who says I'm in the middle of that scale between my mom and me, this is a perfect, it speaks to them. Or all the way down to where my mom is. The farther they are closer to my mom, the more something like this speaks to them. Because again, my mom, for her, does she want to spend, and hers is $82 a month. Does she want to spend $82 a month out of her $1,400? No. But what she can't have happen is a $3,000 or $2,000 or $1,500, even a $500 doctor bill. I had to switch her plan from Humana to United Healthcare this year just on the difference in MRI copay. $275 with Humana, $105 with United. To her, that's 2 or 3 MRIs for the price of 1. So those are the kind of things you need to be aware of when you're advising your client to what direction to go. Now, her hospital indemnity she has carries over no matter what plan I put her onto. And the way I set it up back then, she's on $30 a day, back when Humana's plan was $325 a day. And I set it above it on purpose. And I'm glad I did, because the copay's gone down and up, where she's still covered the whole way through. So, identify, number 1, identify they're a candidate. 2, don't pitch it, present it. Show them the value, build it in, tell them the price at the end, so that they can see the value first. And they're not making a decision off price, they're making a decision off of the actual value. Because affording, there's two types of affording. I can afford this. There's the front side cost, the monthly cost, the upfront cost. Then there's the backside cost. That's why we're buying insurance. We're protecting against the backside cost. in exchange for a front side cost. So we're just flipping the model. Some people are out there have enough money they can self-insure. Do they? Not normally if they're smart. Why? Because you're exchanging pennies to insure dollars. It's smart math.
So in addition to all this, not to get off.
Yeah, go ahead.
They've got another $65.50 risk of prescriptions, right?
Yes. Well, it's more than that. There's no limit to the exposure to prescription.
Yeah. So there's nothing they can do about that.
No.
So somebody gets cancer, they're out, I mean, we do all this, but then they've got this unlimited prescription risk.
But that's going to be no matter what you do. The unlimited prescription risk is on standalone drug cards and it's on Advantage plans too. You can't escape that.
Okay.
So the prescription risk is there. So don't even, I mean, you're going to go through it, but it's not part of the presentation. It's not part of anything. It's just there. And so with prescriptions, that's the one time you don't want to worry about the what ifs. Because every plan has to have 2 drugs in every therapeutic category. So the what ifs are all covered. I'm going to worry about the what is. What meds are you taking? How much are those going to cost? Because that is a cost they need to deal with in budgeting. But as far as the what if you have cancer crap, you
This
can't.
right here, chemo 20%.
Yes.
With Part B drugs 20%.
Right there. So it sells this by itself. Some people that I talk to will just get the cancer. I'm not worried about the rest of the stuff, but cancer is important. So that's why I like to also pitch it as a separate piece.
See? Okay.
So is that,
Go ahead.
Not to reinvent the wheel, but yeah, I mean, that just seems huge to me. You're saying that your mom and everybody's worried about 1,500, 2,000. What about the 65?
Yeah, no, I know. Again, I don't need to hammer that point home. If I've got them stressed about 1,500, the $10,000 check gives them all the peace of mind and the cancer piece they need. Because in reality, the most likely, everybody thinks they're not going to get cancer. Do you think you're going to get cancer? No, right? Nobody does. It just happens to you. But everybody expects at some point to end up at the hospital for some reason, some way or another. Everyone expects to ride an ambulance at some point, maybe. Everyone expects the likelihood of needing silver. So the cancer is the one thing that's isolated where that's not going to happen to me. Everything else is it might happen to me, or it has happened to me. That's my favorite thing. Oh yeah, I took an ambulance ride and it was blank dollars. Boom. This covers that. So again, there's 2 things that everyone makes a decision off of in life. What are they?
2 things what?
Pleasure or pain. So in my fact finding, I've identified one of the questions is there a family history of cancer? Why did it seems random, it probably has seemed random this whole time being on that fact finder for any of you that do this for some time. This is where you're using it. That's the point of pain if they say yes. My mom, my dad, my uncle, who? We always say who, not just yes, I have a family history of cancer. Who? What kind? Why? I don't say anything else during fact finding. I just get the information, write it down, and move on. Because it's during the presentation, I'm going to bring that gold nugget back up, and it's going to be a point of pain. Remember your mom, remember your grandma, remember whatever it is. My guess is the bills were uncontrollable. Oh yeah, they had to quit working, they had this, they had that. They'll have some kind of pain story to tell you. They'll do the pain for you to remind them of it. Then what is our job? Give them some pleasure. That will never happen to you. Okay? And so, push on the point of pain for a moment, let them marinate on for a second, then feed them with a whole bunch of pleasure. And it's your set. Every time. If you do this the same way I just told you, you lay it out the same way, you describe why you're building it the way you're building it, at the end of it, they'll say one of 2 things. Let's do that, or I don't think that's what I need. But either way, they didn't look at you as a salesperson. That's key. They don't want to be sold. They want to be given the opportunity to choose the right products for them. Because they don't even know this exists, let alone how it benefits them. Right? But now you've done such a thorough job of not only explaining the plan that they're buying.
it's kind of salesy to take that $15 for granted and lower the price. It's really only 22.
Well, you start here, and you say that, but then you remind them that 40 monthly is coming back. Because if they balk on that, and I say, look,
From where you're at now, it's going to cost us.
here's what I'll say, Mike, if they push anywhere on this, I'll say, you know what, maybe we need to reevaluate this and go with a $285 a day plan instead that doesn't have the $40 a month rebate. Because then the price goes down by $40. There's the $40.
Yeah, that was almost
And we have to do it because of higher copays. You're taking on more risk to get this reward. To get that Part B rebate, you're taking on more risk. Why? Because actuarially, they have to factor that in, and they're only allowed 15% profit, whether they run this plan or any other plan. 15%.
How does this get given $40?
It goes into their Social Security. It just comes right off. Their Social Security check goes up by $40 a month.
And they can get the benefits by and it shows.
So, does everybody see why it's such a clean, easy sale?
Yes.
It shouldn't be intimidating you at all. You should be like, damn, I've missed so many. So what you do now is you go back to all the ones and you say, look, my fault. I didn't understand this product well enough. I've had the light shown to me, and I'm really excited to show you this because it might change your life. If you have that level of excitement and passion, then why wouldn't they want you to come over and talk about it? You do the same damn thing. Assume they've lost the book for the plan you sold them. Bring a new one and bring a highlighter. Give it to them. Have them, because again, legally we can't modify the sales book in any way. Give them a highlighter and a pen. Have them highlight these benefits first before you even go through them. Go through and highlight this, and this. I'll tell you why in a minute. You can circle back around. That way it keeps your brain in to where I don't miss any. Like I said, for me, I've got this down to I don't need to highlight anymore. But for the first while, so I wouldn't forget, and so I knew exactly where the benefits were, that's what I made them do. I had them highlight, and I made them write in what the benefits are.
We would also need a new SOA because we're doing hospital.
You don't need a new, you can make sure they sign up front. But if they didn't sign for the hospital and everything, then yes, you need a new.
Cool.
But I get it up front. Why? I'm assuming everybody is a candidate, right? Until they prove me otherwise. Because again, it's like 80, I don't know what the number is because I don't do a good job of keeping track of my statistics. I can tell you if I look back over the last couple of months, with GTL, I've sold probably 50. Whether that's hospital indemnity or precision care, in 3 months. If you sell 50 of them in 3 months, let me tell you what that does to your income.
How does that pay?
You pick. So I have everything as earned. I don't recommend if you're new doing as earned because it takes a long time to build cash flow momentum that way. Like for me, my residuals are very nice now because I've done that since I got into the field with all as earned. I've just been slowly building this pile. But what you can use is this as a leverage to build cash flow. Because they'll advance 9 months on this, and this pays, I think like 50 or 60% for each. I think this is 60, and this is 55. First year, then it goes down to 10 or something like that after. I don't ever worry about second year. Because the second year money is what I call gravy money. There's this component and they're like, oh, I got money. But you want to keep building the pipeline with first year money. Why? Because that's where that cash flow comes in. And the cash flow, you can turn around and do another drop and sell 10 more hospital indemnities and 10 more advantage plans. Next thing you know, you've got this snowball of momentum. You've got a snowball of residual money building. And you've got a snowball of cash right now, advanced money building. The only danger with the advanced side is if they cancel, chargeback. So it's very important that you explain not just the pretty parts of the policy. The keys that I have, I used to do it at the beginning where I had the policy, because they give you the option with GTL. Send the policy to the insured or send it to me to deliver. 100% of the time I deliver it now. Why? Because I want to go line by line through that policy, make sure they understand everything. So there's no misunderstandings. They understand exactly how it works, exactly what to do, exactly who to call when they need to file a claim. Because if you just assume that they're going to know all that stuff, trust me when I say from experience, they know none of that stuff. I had this one guy who he bought, it wasn't a ton, it was just a cancer policy. He had cancer in 2019, never told me. So now we're scrambling to file this claim to get him $10,000 he forgot he could get. It slipped his mind. So what does that tell me? I did a horrible job of explaining to him, one, what he's getting, and two, what to do if something happens. If one of these things happen, bing, 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 you need to call me. Get me involved because I'm going to make the claim process easy for you.
You're doing, so you're selling once and you're taking it, presenting it again.
Yes.
And that's right.
You should be doing that with everything you sell. Whether that's an Advantage plan. And again, what's the advantage of doing the follow-up in-force appointment with the Advantage plan? I did one this morning before I came here in Greeley. She just got her dual complete plan on yesterday. Guess what I did? Talk about final expense, and I asked for referrals. They already had 3 people ready to refer to me.
There you go.
Okay? But now, I went there and I explained, how does she use the dental? How does she use her over-the-counter card that she hasn't even gotten yet? How does she use the vision plan that she needs to use? I helped them set up their appointment. We called the vision place. We set up her appointment for next week. She's now going to use the vision benefit next week. If I get her to use those extra benefits, what does that do? Increases the chances that she will not rapid disenroll on me. Because when it's a dual person, what do I know? I just enrolled her for March, for April. What can she literally do right now? She can literally do a new application and switch to another plan for May if she wants. Because she's now in a new quarter. So if I don't close the door, I've left it open for some Tom, Dick, or Harry to call her and pretend that they know what they're talking about. So what am I also doing at the in-force appointment? I'm re-driving home the point that they should call me first every time. Never, ever, ever call 1-800 on the back of your card. Call me first. If we need to call 1-800, we're going to call them together. Why? Because I'm going to hold whoever answers the phone accountable. They're going to treat my customer correctly. They're not going to try to move her to a new plan or him to a new plan. They're not going to try any of the funny business that all the carriers do. If you think they don't, trust me when they do. If you have a drug card with certain carriers, they will stick their sales team on them to move them to Advantage. So you have to tell them. It's not just the call center people. It's not just other agents that you need to be going like this to. Your own insurance company. Do not let them do anything to your plan without talking to me first.
Okay.
You've got to be crystal clear on that. And another reason why you sell this, when you package those products together, it increases the chances of them calling you first.
Don't let them talk to you about your drug card and all that.
Nothing. Never ever. I used to have this mantra of trying to outsource everything so I could be more efficient. Call customer service when you take your doctor. Call for this, call for that. Just don't call me. What I found was you have like a 10 to 20% higher loss rate on the back door of rescission. People going out, talking to the lady sitting at the King Supers, this is her second day in the business. And because she's smiling and she's there and it's in the moment, she's going to say what? Whatever she has to say about you to get rid of you. Oh, no, they have me on this plan. Oh, man, they're doing this, they're doing that. You shouldn't even be close. But if you have them ready, he told me you were going to say that. They have no answer to that. Trust me when I say that. They have no answer to my agent told me you were going to say that.
If you don't, they kind of believe their company's better than you to be there.
Just last week, I had a client call me because she had somebody call her out of the blue from a lead card she sent in 3 years ago. The reason I know it was 3 years ago, it was her old address she filled in. They said, you just sent back a card, I am with Medicare. Medicare wants me to come over and help you. She set the appointment, felt funny about it, called me. So we called him. This is like 25-year-old kid. I've been having, I'm not going to say because I'm recording this training and I don't want to get in trouble for bad-mouthing other agencies. There's an agency in Colorado that's training their agents to do that. I've had the same agency, another client in Sterling. They knocked on her door. She's sleeping. Her son let him in. They sat next to her bed, moved her to a different plan. Told them that I was captive to United Healthcare, which I'm not.
Wow.
So I still reported it. Nothing happened. So trust me when I say you think that there's this big regulatory police agency out there cracking the whip on all these non-compliant people. They're not. You have to basically get caught with your hand in the cookie jar and eating the cookie at the same time to get nailed. So what do you have to do as an agent to get over that? You have to educate your clients that it's going to happen. You're going to get those little dumb postcards. You throw them away. If it doesn't say my logo on it, throw it away. If it says Humana, call me to double check it's legit. Because you and I and everyone in this room and everyone on this recording, you can go into the resource center for Humana and order branded Humana stuff. So even if it says Humana on it, do not call. Call me first. We will call together. Again, this was a training about hospital indemnity, so let's circle back around and summarize. So, identify, present. At the end of present, the close is what? Point of pain, point of pleasure. It's yours.
Do the close, pain, pleasure analogy.
So, it depends on the tax filing. So if I identify,
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. You say you have heart trouble, or you say you have cancer.
or I ask them during the process if they're eligible for LIS. So I have an idea what their income is. So if I know they're making $1,400 a month, my simple statement is that hospital bill, it'll be over $1,400 a month. $1,400, your whole check. I'll say that, your whole check would be the hospital bill. This covers that. So I push on the point of pain. You're going to use your whole check to pay this copay. I can't afford it. I got to pay rent. I got to pay food. I got to pay gas. I got to do this. I got to do that. I can't afford $1,400.
So when you say use the pain, just reminding them of
Reminding the reason why they wanted to listen to this pitch in the first place.
Right.
And that is because they're not like me. They're like my mom.
Right.
So remember, you're like my mom. Just like my mom, she sleeps better and I haven't. And I always go back. I say, my mom's paying 82. That's because she bought it 2 years ago. And she's a female and you're a male. And if they're a female too, then I'll say it's because you bought it a few years ago and she didn't. If they're under 65, don't be afraid to present it. My mom got enrolled Medicare early. She got her hospital indemnity plan early. They still have to get through the underwriting if they're past that 6-month gap.
That's $1,000 a day right there. An advantage in that plan right there.
Yes. Yes. And so you've now taken your turning 65 person and your $500 payday, the $530, what is it? $500 something dollars, and you've now stretched that to $1,500. And 1,000 of it's coming in a week or less, because they pay out very fast with GTO. As soon as it goes active.
I think you said it's about 40%.
60, 55. Okay? The value's there. It's a quick way to put your clients in a better position, to have a higher retention rate, and to make a lot more money.